All right, so after the Bulls had arguably their most impressive win of the season in Boston while they were without Josh Giddey, where you think, hey, these guys might actually be onto something here and may just mess around and make the playoffs this season. In my post-game video from that game, I talked about how it's starting to become more evident that the Bulls are actually better as a team this year than what we saw last season, despite the fact that the Bulls were actually trying to actively compete last year. But then they followed that up with two terrible losses, blowout losses, one of course being to the Celtics, which that you can't be too mad at since they're the best team in the league from top to bottom, but still frustrating to see how they came out and played that game after winning in Boston and now losing to the Milwaukee Bucks, which normally wouldn't be that bad, but they were without Giannis and Damian Lillard. And it wasn't like this was a close game either. The Bucks pretty much controlled this one from the start. Like, aside from the Bulls kicking off the game with a 5-0 run and then having some nice mini runs here and there where they closed the gap to single digits, outside of that, the Bucks were in control of this game and there was really nothing the Bulls could do about it. Before I continue on with the video though, a big shout out to our sponsors over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action with player props. They've made daily fantasy sports accessible to all, whether you're a passive fan or you're a diehard. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash during the holiday season. It used to be 100 times. They've upped that to 1,000. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. PrizePicks really makes the game more fun as you follow along with the players and their stats throughout the game. Is Zach LaVine going to go off in this upcoming matchup? Maybe it's going to be Coby White. Make your picks in seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on PrizePicks. Join now as the holiday season. PrizePicks is actually giving away 2 free picks in December, and they're giving away $30 million+ in rewards during Picksmas. So download the app today and use the code BULLCENTRAL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. What's crazy is you don't even need to win to receive the $50. It is guaranteed. Again, use the promo code BULLCENTRAL. PrizePicks, run your game. You know, for me, what concerned me most about this game, well, it was a few things, but it was the fact that this was the most disengaged and lethargic I've seen the Bulls this season. Like, even though the Bulls haven't been expected to be good this year and they've had some bad moments and bad games here and there, I've always acknowledged and praised their effort and energy that was considerably better than what we saw last season. But tonight, it was almost like I was watching the Bulls team of last year where half the guys just looked checked out and didn't want to be there. Like, did they all have a late night out last night or something and just didn't come ready to play? Because these guys really didn't seem to care. And that really was on both ends of the floor. No hustle, no fight, no energy. And when you're going up against a shorthanded Bucks team that was without their star players, how are you not more prepared to capitalize on that lineup? Now, to be fair, the Bulls were still without Josh Giddey, who was questionable to play this game, and then no Lonzo Ball, who was a late-minute scratch. And when you don't have your 2 primary facilitators and floor generals, yeah, the offense is going to suffer. But this was much worse than what I would have expected. I mean, the guys looked lost out there without Giddey and Zoe. The ball was not moving well, silly turnovers, bad shots, a lot of bad shots. When the outside shots weren't falling, they didn't do anything to try and rectify the situation and make some adjustments. Nope, they just kept chucking them. The Bulls had their worst 3-point shooting night on the season, going 10 for 48, 20% from 3. They shot 40% overall from the field and put out their lowest scoring game on the season at just 91 points. Like, I wouldn't even say the Bucks played that well in this game either. It's just that the Bulls were so terrible tonight on both ends that they looked dominant, because any team would have against a team shooting the ball that poorly. You know, oddly enough, the guy who probably had the best game from these past 2 games, the one tonight and obviously against Boston, the best player on the court in both of those was Patrick Williams. Never would have expected to say that. I'm not saying he had some spectacular game, it's just everyone else struggled so much that his game looked that much better. He was the only guy who didn't shoot it terribly from 3. He went 3 for 6 from deep, 5 for 8 overall, was one of the few players who actually played with some aggression, and was the only starter who actually had a positive box plus minus, while the rest of the starting lineup were all in the negative double digits when they were on the court. Vucevic, 17 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists. I mean, good for the old stat sheet, but wasn't that effective in impacting the game. Zach, Ayo, both bad shooting nights. It was great to see Ayo tally another 11 assists, being sort of the primary facilitator with Giddey still being out. But still, 4 turnovers, 0 for 5 from 3, and he was a team worst, minus 19 tonight. But honestly, the thing that I've been concerned about most lately is Coby White. Now, I talked about this a few games here and there over the past month, saying, should we be getting worried about Coby? Like, his shooting and decision-making wasn't what it was last season, where he had that breakout year, but I always kind of just brushed it off like, nah, it's just a little slump, he'll be all right. All players go through that from time to time. But no, After seeing him the past few games, even in the games where all the other guys are contributing and playing well, even in games where he's going up against inferior guards, he's still struggling, big time. You know, ever since starting this channel, my biggest criticism of Coby White was his inconsistent play. That was until last season, and for the first time we saw him play consistently well and actually have a positive impact on the court and bringing energy to the team. Now, the pendulum has kind of swung back in the other direction. Because for me, it's not so much that he's been struggling to shoot the ball, it's more so his overall shot selection and how he's been fitting in the new offense. Because you would think Coby would thrive in this new environment, right? Where the Bulls are playing faster, he can play off the ball and get looks on the perimeter, but instead, he's actually having his least efficient offensive season since his rookie year. He hasn't been rebounding the ball as well, we're not seeing the improved playmaking and court vision that we saw last year, and he's turning the ball over at a higher rate. And so I started thinking about this more, and now I'm wondering, is it possible that maybe Coby's improved offense, decision-making, improved navigation, the pick and roll was actually in large part because of the slower style offense the Bulls played last season with DeMar DeRozan? Was Coby simply a benefactor of getting better looks because DeMar commanded the ball so much and commanded so much attention from defenses that it enabled him to thrive? I mean, to an extent, that was probably true, but when Coby started breaking out and balling, teams started guarding him differently and he still handled himself well. He handled his own. And look, to be fair to Coby, he's battling through nagging pain and injuries. We know this. He never takes that as an excuse. Always says he's got to play better and make shots. And also, to be fair, he's been asked to take on so many different roles since being drafted by this team. From being a sixth man coming off the bench to then starting point guard when he was more of a shooting guard to then being relegated back to the bench when they brought in Lonzo Ball to then being inserted back into the starting lineup and playing more of a lead guard role, especially after Levine got injured last season. And now they bring in Josh Giddey. Lonzo is back, and you're seeing him play more off-ball again, playing a more up-tempo style of offense that maybe isn't best suited for his strengths that we saw last season. So I always talk about Coby being an inconsistent player, but at the same time, nothing about his role and his time in the NBA has been consistent. But all that is to say, yeah, I would be lying to myself if I said that I wasn't worried about Coby White and the slump that he's going through right now, and just how much that's going to impact his confidence as well as the overall development of this team, and also what it means for their future. Because say they do look at trading Coby White this season, his value isn't great right now. They would still get decent value for him because he's young on a very team-friendly contract and he can score, but it's not what it was last season. I just hope that he can dig himself out of the slump right now, because Coby's ascendance last season was really one of the only things, the only bright spot from last year to be excited about, and I just hope this is an extended slump that he's going to be able to recover from and get back to being the Coby that we saw last season. Anyway, I guess this was a good loss for the tanking crowd tonight, right? Bulls get a loss that we might have thought was otherwise going to be a win against a shorthanded Bucks team. I guess that makes up for the unexpected win against Boston the other night. So anyway, let me know what you guys thought about this game as well as the play of Coby White recently. If I don't hear from you guys, happy holidays to you all. Stay safe out there, and I will see you guys in the next one.